Hello friends, and thank you for joining me for this talk on the bumblebees of the Aroostook National Wildlife Refuge. I visited this site around the 8th of August. It was warm in the 70s, kind of overcast, and towards the end of my visit the sun popped out and it got very warm, but a little bit of a breeze. And at any rate, here you can see a yellow-banded bumblebee on a milkweed relative. And so let's take a look at what I found there and also take a look at the plants. So here you can see another yellow-banded bumblebee, this one on coneflower. And by the visitor center, there is a pollinator garden, and in there you had common tansy in good numbers. There was some butterfly weed, which is the milkweed relative. There was goldenrod. They weren't on that too much. There was verbicina, and as you see here, the coneflower. Now, in the lawn surrounding the visitor center, there was also large hop clover, white clover, and red clover. The white clover was kind of on its a lot of it had already passed flowering, but it was present there. So let's take a look from there. But the yellow banded and here in this case the tricolor bumblebee were very common in this area, possibly some half black. Here you can see tricolor on this is common tansy on the left, and you can see that large hop clover on the right. You can also see there's still white clover flowering in the upper portion of that right image. So this was down by the visitor center. Then I left there and headed up the road to the north. You can see site number 2. I stopped here. There was some fireweed in a ditch. Then I headed up to the right and then up towards where it says 6, 3, 4, 5. So I visited along the bunker area, 3 and 4. We're going to take a look at some images from there. 5, I went out there because out in the field there was a couple of ditches where there was a lot of fireweed, and I was trying to get some pictures of half black on the fireweed. Came back on my way out and stopped at number 6 because just in the gravel on the side of the road, there was some flowering plant, which I'll talk about in just a second, and it looked like it was either half black or common eastern, and I was trying to photograph and did not get good photographs of it. Bird's foot trefoil. So anyway, let's take a look. So this is along the main drag in the ditch, and you can see on fireweed some half black bumblebee. Again, remember, the half-black bumblebee, Bombus vagans, can also be confused with Sanderson's, but half-black is certainly in greater numbers in northern Maine than the Sanderson's anyway, so likely that's what it is, but just so you know. But up at the bunker area, you can see over on the right, this is kind of looking south and west, and over on the right, you can see there's goldenrod getting ready to flower and just starting to flower. But what you're seeing mostly on the left here is this spotted knapweed, and several of the bumblebee species, and in fairly good numbers, were all over this spotted knapweed, including, well, you'll see some pictures in just a second. Further up the road, there was just one small patch in this whole area of common milkweed, and you can see here, looks like half black and common eastern might have been on that. So here you can see Bombus borealis, the northern amber bumblebee. These were in large numbers on the spotted knapweed. So were yellow banded in fairly good numbers. But then you can see here on the left, Bombus impatiens, the common eastern bumblebee, was in much smaller numbers. It might have been on the fireweed. It was certainly on the spotted knapweed, but in a lot smaller numbers than northern amber and yellow banded. So there were a lot of flowering plants up in this area. There was fireweed in some of the ditches, especially up towards the north. Spotted knapweed that you see here, milkweed that I showed you earlier. Also, not here, but in other areas, there was red clover, bird's foot trefoil, which was down on the roadside where I saw half black and common eastern, not getting great pictures of it. And goldenrod, although they weren't really on the goldenrod was starting to bloom. Again, this is like the 8th of August, and it usually by mid to late August, it's in full flower up here in northern Maine. So that makes 5 species that we've seen in the Aroostook National Wildlife Refuge, which isn't surprising. These are the 5 most common found in northern Maine. Tricolor was always present. Half black seemed to be present. Northern amber in very good numbers, especially up in the bunker area. That's where they were predominant. Yellow banded was found in both locations, up in the bunkers, down by the visitor center, and they were in good numbers. Common eastern, not so much in great numbers, but they were present. So anyway, with that, I'll say thank you for listening. And again, thanks to the Friends of Aroostook National Wildlife Refuge for getting me out there to take a look at these fantastic animals. Thanks for your interest.